going to begin this afternoon with the matter of Buddy Turner. Mr. Turner, why don't you come on up to the microphone here? Yep, where that seat is in front of the mic. Welcome to you, sir. Mr. Turner, we're here on your case. This is case number 034077M. Recall, Mr. Turner, this is a case in which you've been charged with assault with a domestic violence designation, as well as harassment, also with a domestic violence designation. Both counts are alleged to have occurred at 3666 South Tacoma Street, Unit 103 here in Inglewood, back on April 16th of this year at 5:25 p.m. Counsel, go ahead and enter your appearance.
Thank you, Judge, and good afternoon. Arnold Johnson on behalf of Mr. Turner, who does appear in custody, Your Honor. Judge, I did have a chance to speak with Mr. Turner, go over the plea bargain. He is, I'll let the court know, on a $10,000 bond out of Denver on a probation violation matter, which doesn't concern a DV case. I think they're aware perhaps of this case. So he is on a hold. The plea bargain does contemplate a jail sentence of 360 days with 300 suspended. And it also contemplates continued, or in this case, being on probation. In speaking with Mr. Turner, he has started classes with NIC, and I told him that's an agency that the Inglewood uses, is also right on the plea bargain. So Mr. Turner would like to waive his rights to trial, enter a guilty plea in accordance with the plea bargain, understanding he'll have 60 days to serve. And I will say, Judge, because of his hold in Denver, he may not get good time on that. So just in planning purposes for his plea bargain, the one thing that Mr. Turner wanted to be assured of, and I said, I believe this is correct, his probation will be concurrent with other probations. In fact, we'll start when he gets out of jail on our case. It may be some time until he works his way through Denver, but probably not as much time as he will be on this sentence. So if that's acceptable to the court, and I do believe that's the way the court would want to do that, Mr. Turner is prepared to enter a guilty plea to the charge, Your Honor.
Excellent. Thank you for all that information. The one thing maybe I didn't catch was the concurrent nature of the sentence. Did you say? I apologize. What you were mentioning.
Just to the probation part of it, Judge. Mr. Turner wanted to be sure it didn't come after his Denver case, and I said no, it's not the way generally Inglewood does things. That we would go ahead and put him on probation.
Before he does that, can I say something, please?
No, ma'am. I'll call on you in just a minute. Okay, if you wouldn't mind just muting your device, I promise I'll call on you and give you an opportunity to be heard or ask any questions before any decisions are made today. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Shonison.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Turner just wanted to be assured that it wasn't consecutive probation, and my understanding is that he would be placed on probation once he's released from jail in our case, because he is in probation in Denver at this time as well.
Yes. And so the contemplated probationary term that would be remaining after Mr. Turner served the jail sentence on this negotiated plea, he would remain in probation here in Inglewood for up to a period of 1 year at that point on the remainder of the suspended sentence and the conditions we're going to talk about here in just a moment, okay?
Do you understand that, Mr. Turner?
Yeah, so my probation, because I'm on probation in Denver too. That's what my little warrant is for, you know. So my probation in Denver and Inglewood will be together. That's all I really want to know.
Well, I'll jump in, Judge. They wouldn't be the same people, but they would be.
No, not the same people, right. But it would be all ran concurrent together, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't be considering any probationary term above and beyond a year in this matter.
Okay.
And so you may have to work with two separate probation officers. You'll have to work with our probation officer here in Inglewood, but we're also open to you not doubling up any efforts. If they're doing UAs, we can get UAs there, those types of issues. You'll work with your probation officer after you get out of jail and meet with them the first time to coordinate that so you're not having to double up efforts, okay?
Okay. That's all I wanted to know, because I'm pretty sure when I get back to Denver, they're going to reinstate my probation there, you know? So
Understood. I understand that's the hope. And that's, I think, also our hope. And that, you know, if you do these 60 days, you go back over to Denver, release that hold, get released from custody, then come see your probation officer here to begin probation here in Inglewood.
Yeah.
Does that all sound correct to you, Mr. Turner?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Did you see the video advisement of your rights today, sir?
Yeah.
Is there anything making it difficult for you to understand what we're doing today, such as medication, illness, drugs, or alcohol?
No.
I'd like to go through this plea bargain together on the record just to make sure we all have the same understanding before we proceed. And then I also do want to hear from Ms. Sanchez-Fierro before we proceed with anything, because I know she wants to be heard as well.
Yeah, she don't want
In this case, if you plead guilty to the charge of assault with a domestic violence designation, the city prosecutor is going to move the court to dismiss the remaining charge, harassment with a domestic violence designation. They're recommending the following sentence on the assault with a domestic violence designation. A jail sentence of 360 days with 300 of those days suspended, leaving you 60 days to serve. A fine of $1,500 with half of that suspended, leaving you with a fine to pay of $750. There are some additional costs you'll have to take care of, totaling $175, a $100 probation fee, a $50 domestic violence fee, and $25 in court cost everybody pays for appearing in municipal court. It's going to bring your total balance owed at this time to $925. I'll work with you throughout the duration of the case to collect those monies. Obviously, any and all monies in your case, first and foremost, need to be dedicated towards compliance with court orders, recommended counseling, monitored sobriety, those types of issues before any fines and costs are paid, okay?
Okay.
Now, the 300 days of jail time that are going to be suspended, along with the $750 of fines that are going to be suspended, are going to be suspended on the following conditions. Number one, no further violations of the law for a 1-year period. That excludes minor traffic issues of 8 points or less. But sir, you got to stay out of trouble. Any additional convictions with a date of violation after today's date could subject you to up to 300 days of additional jail sentence in this case, and up to $750 of additional fines. So this is a probationary period of 1 year, and you're going to be subject to the recommendations of your probation officer here in Inglewood, including monitored sobriety. Do you understand all of that on the first condition?
Yeah, I understand.
The second condition, and probably most important condition, is that you're going to complete domestic violence counseling and treatment with National Institute for Change. That's what your attorney was talking about. And I know you're probably already doing some stuff with them, and so hopefully you can pick up where you left off.
Yes.
But in order to successfully complete the probationary period, you need to accomplish the treatment program and receive a certificate of completion from them, okay?
Okay. Okay.
The next condition, or third condition, is that you're going to pay restitution to be determined at a later date for any medical expenses out of pocket as a result of this incident, as well as up to 6 sessions of counseling for the victim in this matter. Do you have any questions or concerns about the restitution potential?
No.
The next condition is that you should strictly comply with any no contact order issued by this court until it's either modified or vacated at a later date. And we're going to discuss a no contact order here today. If appropriate, you'll also need to comply with a firearms relinquishment order issued by this court. And that would mean that you couldn't have any possession of any firearms or ammunition throughout the duration of the no contact order. Are you currently in possession or ownership of any firearms or ammunition at this time?
No.
Even though you're not in compliance with, or I'm sorry, even though you don't own or possess any firearms or ammunition, you still need to comply with the court's order. Within 3 business days of your release from jail, whether that's in Arapahoe County or Denver County, you must comply with the court's order to fill out an affidavit swearing or affirming that you're not in possession or ownership of any of those firearms or ammunition. And so don't forget about this first important condition of your case. After 3 business days of your release from custody, if you don't have one on file, the court will issue an immediate bench warrant for your arrest. So please don't forget about the firearms relinquishment requirement in this case.
So when I get released, I just go down to the Inglewood courthouse and fill out that paperwork, or?
Correct. We're going to give you a copy of that document here today, along with the order in writing that explains everything. You can bring that affidavit in person to our front counter, where the clerk will help acknowledge your signature if necessary. But you might also be able to accomplish that through another notary or something else and submit it to our front counter at that time. Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
Any other questions or concerns about that process?
No.
And then finally, of course, you're to appear at all court dates. We would likely set your next court date out about 90 days. My hope is that that gives you enough time to serve the 60 days of jail time contemplated in this case, get transferred over to Denver, resolve whatever hold issues you might have in Denver, and still appear in Inglewood Municipal Court in about 90 days. If that doesn't work out for any reason, you can motion the court in writing and I can try to reset the date. Or if you end up with a long jail sentence in Denver, you may want to request a concurrent sentence. But I think our hope is that you're released and can comply once you're out of jail. Does that all make sense?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions or concerns regarding the nature of the charges against you, your rights, the procedures of our court, the plea bargain being offered, or in fact, any other questions at this time?
Just not really. I just don't understand how I even got these charges, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I'll go with I'll go with it, you know, because
Well,
I don't want to make it a bigger process than it needs to be, you know? And I know if I plead not guilty right now, it's going to take me like a year or two to fight this case because that's what it takes, you know? And like,
Well, Mr. Turner, you know,
it's
you
a
shouldn't be,
reasonable
you
offer.
shouldn't be pleading guilty if you don't think you're guilty of the underlying offense today. I hope you can understand that one of the jobs of the judge is to ensure people's rights. And so I'm
Yeah, I
going to
understand
ensure your
that.
rights and make sure that you're making a knowing, intelligent, and voluntary decision. If you enter a
Yeah.
guilty plea, I'm likely to ask you if you believe that you committed the underlying offense. And so, you know, again, in here, our speedy trial timeline here in municipal court is only 91 days. So if you enter a not guilty plea today, the court is obligated to hear your case within 91 days of today's date. So this isn't going to hang over your head forever, like you're saying. And so today, your attorney is saying that you want to accept that guilty plea. If you want to discuss it further with your attorney, you're welcome to. Do you want to proceed with the plea agreement after hearing all that?
Yeah.
Ms. Sanchez Fierro, I apologize for cutting you off earlier, ma'am. I do appreciate your appearance here today. I view your appearance at these matters as integral to a successful outcome in these matters. You're welcome to ask any questions of the court or make any statements at this time prior to any decisions being made today.
And is he getting a protection order from me?
Yes, the court is likely to consider a full no contact order in this case. You're welcome to tell me what you think about that, and the court could consider some potential alternatives after hearing from the city and from defendant.
I don't think I need a protection order from him. I'm not scared of him. He actually helps me in my anxiety.
Yeah, okay.
He's a really good man. He's not this man. He's not this man. And you guys think he did not do anything to me.
Don't cry, Mama.
And
Don't
so
cry.
at this time,
Anything to me.
Don't
I
cry.
didn't let him leave like he wanted to. And I think if I would have let him leave, this one not have went as far as it did. All he did was push and shove me. He did not put his hands on me.
Don't cry, Mama. It's okay.
you know, Mr. Turner, it's difficult. Please refrain from commenting at this time until I
Okay,
call on
sorry,
you.
sir.
Okay, no problem. I understand it's difficult.
I just know I didn't do nothing wrong, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying, I help my baby because she has like problems with her dome, you know? She's got bipolar and that stuff, and I'm
Mr.
there
Turner,
for
I
her.
apologize. Let me cut you off for just a second. I'm going to come back to you. I promise. Okay, you're going to be able to tell me anything you want to tell me before we proceed. But right now, I just want to keep the floor with Ms. Sanchez Fierro,
Okay, sorry.
and
You're
simply
good.
ask, no problem, and simply ask her. You don't have any concern for your physical safety or property
No,
at
I
this point?
don't. I actually need him. He helps me, calms me down. He helps me with my anxiety and my bipolar.
Yeah, okay. Again, I appreciate your participation today. Do you have any other statements or any other questions you want to ask?
Please don't put a protection order from him. I need him.
Understood, ma'am. I'm certainly going to consider your comments here today before I make a decision, okay? If you'll put your device back on mute and wave at me if anything further comes up or you want to make any additional statements, I can give you an opportunity to be heard prior to finalization today.
Am I in the right meeting?
Yes, is this Matt?
Yeah, it was scheduled for 1 o'clock. It's 2
Yeah,
o'clock.
sorry, we're running a little bit late.
I had an appointment at 2:30. I wish I knew that
okay.
earlier.
We're going to be a little bit longer before we call the next case.
I'll stick around. I'll stick around for Daisy, of course.
Yeah, okay.
No worries. I'm
go
not
ahead
trying to
and
be
mute your
impatient,
device.
just curious.
No problem, and apologize for the delay. Go ahead and mute your device.
That's all right. Thank you.
Okay. That all being said, counsel, do you want to take a moment or do you want to try to proceed with a guilty plea?
Judge, what I'd like to do, if I may, considering the media foundation we have, is just if I could just do a little bit more advisement directly to Mr. Turner. The judge has done a
Or
really
if you'd
good.
like, I can exit and give you a moment
I think we're
to
fine,
preserve
Judge.
attorney privilege.
I think we're fine. Thank you, Judge. Mr. Turner, Mr. Turner, the judge has explained pretty well what he's trying. You know, I just want to reiterate that, for myself and for you as well, that before a judge can take a guilty plea, you have to admit some wrong. He's not going to let you plead guilty if you say, I didn't do anything wrong, which is fine. If you want to plead not guilty, then I will be your lawyer and we will go from there and we'll work the trial. You know, you indicated to me that you wanted to accept it, and that's fine too.
Yes.
It's your decision, not mine. But I'm just putting this on the record because this is being recorded, that it's up to you. And even though you said that, the judge has given you a chance, if you feel like you didn't commit a crime, to plead not guilty. And if that, the system still works, and I will come down and I'll be your lawyer and we'll talk and we'll get all the police reports and we'll go from there. If you want to do that, that's also okay, but it's up to you. And you have to, you can't tell the judge, I didn't do anything wrong. If you want to plead guilty, you have to accept some responsibility. So
Yeah, no,
I just wanted
would-
to put that on the record, Judge, and I appreciate that. And, you know, I feel Mr. Turner has enough grasp on the situation to make an intelligent decision. And you know, he had some contact with the system before. So I will leave that in Mr. Turner's hands if that's okay.
Mr. Turner, before you respond, do you have any questions or concerns you want to discuss with Mr. Shunnison privately before you make a decision? Or are you okay to proceed?
No, I'm okay with my decision, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, and you want to plead
It
guilty
might
still?
not have been, it wasn't a huge ordeal and it wasn't like everything, but I did do part of the ordeal and I will take my responsibility for it. You know what I'm saying? So,
And that's to an assault with a domestic violence designation, is that
yes,
correct?
yes, sir. So
Yeah, okay. Okay.
I will take my responsibility for what I did in my part in it. For sure.
The city, I assume, is seeking, well, I do see that, is seeking a full no contact order in this case as part of the negotiated plea. I don't know if we had an opportunity to cover that with Mr. Turner, or we want to discuss that further.
Well, Judge, we would defer the court. I'm always in favor of less requirements on my client because there's less problems with it. Perhaps because he is doing this jail sentence, and that certainly is a cooling off period. We could, when we have the court date, perhaps the victim could attend, or at least have her wishes reiterated at that point if the judge wants no contact or no. Because we're looking at least, I think at least 60 days, Judge, because of the absence of good time in this case before he's released.
Understood. City wish to be heard at all regarding the recommendation for the no contact order after hearing from Ms. Sanchez Fierro?
And, Your Honor, I'm sorry, my video must not be working even though it's.
No problem. I'm hearing you okay, though.
And the city would be recommending a no contact order, not as a negotiated plea, but it's just recommending that the court issue a no contact order. I mean, I think there maybe while he's in custody, I don't know that there's electronic communication, but even a phone call, I think, would be reported if it took place in custody. Maybe that's some communication, but I definitely would recommend a no contact order in this case.
Yeah, and so I guess I'm considering some of those options. Does the city have a position on communication while in custody or electronic communication post-release?
The city has no objection to either.
Yeah, okay. Ms. Sanchez Fierro, I know that you're saying that you guys have a lot going on together. Tell me a little bit more about what you guys got going on that you think you need help with, knowing that he's probably going to remain in jail for a couple of months.
Well, I was thinking of going to go get me some counseling also, couples counseling. I want to marry this man.
Yeah, okay. In this case, the court is likely, if he proceeds with the guilty plea, to consider something like electronic communication, whereby an electronic record of the communication is kept. So phone calls at the jail are generally recorded, and so that would be acceptable. Once he's released, he would need to only communicate with Sanchez Fierro through electronic means, whereby an electronic record of the communication is kept, whereby somebody could review it at a later date if necessary to determine who said what when. So email, text message, social media, and other types of platforms that create that electronic record would be the only types of communication that would be allowed from Mr. Turner to Ms. Sanchez Fierro. And so, Mr. Turner, even after you're released from custody, you'll need to honor this order strictly and not give anybody any room to suggest you violated the order. And that includes, if you accidentally bump into her at the grocery store, you must turn around and go the other direction. Do you understand all of that?
Yes, sir. I do.
And obviously, I'll just caution the parties that if the communication for any reason does not go well, that they should immediately end that communication, and we can discuss it in court at the next court date, okay?
Okay.
Judge, you haven't taken the plea yet.
Yeah, I'm aware. Okay, so Mr. Turner, if you don't have any other questions or concerns, how then do you plead in this case to the charge of assault with a domestic violence designation? Guilty or not guilty?
I plead guilty.
You understand that by pleading guilty today, you're giving up your rights, including a potential jury trial in this case and all the rights that go along with that. Do you know that? Do you understand
Yes,
that?
sir. Yes,
You
sir.
did understand everything in the video advisement, correct?
Yes, sir.
No questions or concerns about any of those rights?
No, sir.
You also understand that by pleading guilty, you're telling the court that this is your decision and your decision alone to plead guilty and accept this plea offer. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Judge, if you don't have any further advisement, we wouldn't request any further advisement. We'd also, in this case, waive the establishment of a factual basis. I think Mr. Turner is aware of the charges. We spoke about him earlier. Thank you.
Try to be brief, but I am going to read in a statement in support of warrantless arrest that is fairly lengthy, 2.5 pages, and then give Ms. Sanchez Fierro and city and defense final opportunity to be heard prior to sentencing. The statement in support of warrantless arrest in this case reads that on April 16th at approximately 5:25, officers responded to 3666 South Tacoma on report of a physical domestic. Dispatch advised the female caller stated she was scared of her boyfriend and she locked herself inside the bathroom. She added the male may be trying to get through the window. Upon arrival, the officer contacted a reporting party identified as Ms. Sanchez Fierro, who immediately stated that she, quote, he threw me all over. She further stated she was in physical altercation with her boyfriend, Mr. Turner. She stated Mr. Turner was made at her because he thinks that she is cheating on him with another man. After a protective sweep, the officers checked the area for Mr. Turner. Officers provided the other officer a picture of Mr. Turner using a law enforcement database. Victim identified the picture as Mr. Turner and identified that he has a tattoo of barbed wire on his neck. She further stated that he left the apartment approximately 30 minutes prior to the altercation, stating he was going to his mother's house to get some money. When he returned, he started arguing with victim and stated, quote, "Thanks for picking me up, bitch." She further stated that she had her phone in her hand and Mr. Turner was physically trying to get it from her. She stated she was sitting on the couch and Mr. Turner told her to get out. She further stated that Mr. Turner told her to, quote, "Get the fuck up, bitch," and get the fuck out. He further also called her a, quote, "worthless piece of shit." She further stated that he grabbed her while she was sitting on the couch and tried to physically remove her. She said it hurt when she was grabbed, and due to the pre-existing back injury of arthritis and a bulging disc. She further stated that during the scuffle, a vase dropped from the couch and broke on the floor. She further stated that during the argument, they went into the bathroom and started arguing, where he grabbed her and they wrestled to the ground. She initially stated she wasn't sure what had happened, but he struck her or hit something while wrestling around with him. She further stated she was also scratched on the chest from him. She added that Mr. Turner pulled her hair several times during the incident, causing pain, and later stated that her right side of her face still hurt from being struck by Mr. Turner with a closed fist. Officers asked again if she was struck, and she again said yes with a closed fist from Mr. Turner. She further stated she was able to get the phone from her. She further stated that he was able to get the phone from her and he left out the front door. She stated she locked the front door and Mr. Turner tried to get into the apartment through the window. She stated she was scared and locked herself in the bathroom and called 911 from a different disconnected phone. She added that she was very scared from the moment Mr. Turner walked back into the apartment, from the tone of his voice, body language, demeanor, and to include while he was attempting to get her phone from her and when he struck her. She further stated she has known Mr. Turner for approximately 20 years, but has been in an intimate relationship with him since approximately the beginning of this year. They asked her if he and she live together. She said they spend every day, all day, and we have sex here, so yeah, I guess we live together. She added that the apartment they were currently staying in belonged to Mr. Turner's father. The victim advocate arrived on scene to try and provide resources to victims since the apartment was Mr. Turner's dad's apartment. She denied any assistance, but was given victim rights pamphlet and other information. As they were helping her load her vehicle up, they observed a male that looked like Mr. Turner in the parking lot away from them. Looks like the victim advocate got his attention and was immediately able to recognize Mr. Turner by the tattoo on his Turner. What had approximately 20 years, but has been in an intimate relationship with him since approximately the beginning of this year. They asked her if he and she live together. She said they spend every day, all day, and we have sex here, so yeah, I guess we live together. She added that the apartment they were currently staying in belonged to Mr. Turner's father. The victim advocate arrived on scene to try and provide resources to victim since the apartment was Mr. Turner's dad's apartment. She denied any assistance, but was given victim rights pamphlet and other information. As they were helping her load her vehicle up, they observed a male that looked like Mr. Turner in the parking lot away from them. Looks like the victim advocate got his attention and was immediately able to recognize Mr. Turner by the tattoo on his neck. They asked Mr. Turner what had happened, and Mr. Turner stated that he got into an argument. They further stated if anything else had happened other than the argument, and that they needed his side of the story. And I believe this is the reporting officer speaking at this point. I told them that there was only one side of the story and that they needed his. Mr. Turner again stated he got into an argument with his girl. Mr. Turner was then taken into custody. Once in custody, Officer Dispatch advised Turner had a warrant for domestic out of Denver that would be extraditable even through COVID conditions. Officer transported Mr. Turner to the police department. It was possibly identified by the Colorado identification card in his pocket at the time of his arrest. In addition to the victim's assistance pamphlet, victim was provided with an Inglewood subpoena to testify and a copy of the victim notification. Pictures of her injuries were taken and added to the report. They could see redness and possible swelling on her cheek under her right eye. It should be noted that I believe the victim advocate took the pictures of the injuries because the victim felt comfortable having her do it. After probable cause affidavit was completed, Mr. Turner was transported to Arapahoe County Detention Center for domestic related charges of assault and harassment, to include his arrest out of Denver police. Does the city or Ms. Maynard wish to be heard prior to sentencing?
Nothing from the city.
Your Honor, I have nothing, but I would just note that I am not the advocate that responded to the scene.
Understood. Thank you for that. Ms. Sanchez-Fierro, any further before I turn it over to Mr. Turner for the final statement before we proceed?
I did not say that he hit me with his hand, and I didn't say anything about sex. He asked me if we were intimate.
Understood. And again, I'm just reading the report that's in front of me, so I certainly understand and can appreciate your statement and record that you've made. Mr. Turner and counsel, any final statement prior to proceeding with sentencing?
Judge, thank you, Mr. Turner. Judge, I just wanted to stress to the court that perhaps we could set him for probation approximately 75 days from today. I know that's a long time, Judge, but it may at least take, I'm just concerned he's not getting good time. So it may actually do the 60 days. I don't know what day did you come in, Mr. Turner? You said Friday?
On Friday.
Yeah, so Judge, if the court would consider giving him credit for time served towards the 60 from Friday, then we can probably do a pretty good calculation. I am confident Judge Mr. Turner does understand the plea bargain, and appreciate the court accepting it.
That'd be here request for 3 days credit for time served. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm likely to grant that today. Mr. Turner, anything final before I proceed with sentencing?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, in this case, I've accepted the plea, and I'm going to proceed with the sentence as per the prosecution recommendation as part of the negotiated plea in this case, and sentence Mr. Turner, like we talked about, 360 days, 300 suspended, $1,500 of fines, with half of that suspended, plus the $175 in cost we talked about. That's going to leave him, after crediting number 3 days time served, with 57 days to serve. Upon completion of those 57 days, he will report back to a probation meeting date out 75 to 90 days. We'll provide him with that date in writing here today so that he's aware of what date he needs to be in court. The 300 days of jail time and the $750 of fines that are suspended on the conditions we've already talked about. No further violations for 1 year. Enroll and complete domestic violence counseling and treatment with NIC. Pay restitution to be determined. Have no further violations of the law. Strictly comply with a full no contact order except for electronic communication that I've advised on earlier. Comply with the firearms relinquishment affidavit and appear at all court dates. Any questions or concerns about your sentence, Mr. Turner?
No, none. Just,
Good luck to
you
you,
said the
sir.
electronic monitoring, does that mean that I could call her or?
Correct. Right now, because you're in custody, all of your communications over that phone line are
Yes,
going to be
around a
recorded.
number. Yes, so.
And so
that's-
you guys
that's
can
what-
have communication while you're in custody, but once you're out of jail, make sure you're only using an electronic device that keeps a record. So like text message, email,
Facebook and
no
stuff like
regular
that.
phone
Or
calls,
video chat.
no regular mails, no regular video chat unless you guys are recording the video chat, okay?
Okay. And if her phone's restricted from here anyway, so
Yeah,
so I
okay.
don't.
I'll leave it to you guys to try to figure out how to communicate over the next 60 days. Ms. Sanchez Fierro, you can work with Ms. Maynard for any assistance between now and the next court date, and you're always welcome at future court dates, okay?
Okay.
Good luck to you, sir, Mr. Turner.
Thank you. How
I'd
do I take
encourage
my
you to make
lock
use
off
of
my
your
phone?
time over at Arapahoe County Jail. You're going to be there for a fairly short stint, but I know they have domestic violence counseling and some other things you may want to look into. I'm not sentencing you to any of that, just encouraging you to make
But I
best
could
use of
start
your
that
time.
here, right, on my own?
Yeah, I think that might make some sense. Right now with
Yeah.
COVID, I'm not 100% sure what they're offering when, but I'd encourage you to make use of your time and inquire a little bit, okay?
Yeah, we just do a lot of reading right now because it's 23-hour lockdown for the next 14 days, so.
Yeah, okay. I know you got some quarantine period to get through.
Yeah.
Ms. Sanchez Fierro, any questions or concerns before I let you go?
No.
You folks have a great day.
Do you know how do I get the block off my phone so you can call me?
You can work with Ms. Maynard. I don't know exactly what you got, the situation over there. And, obviously I'm not in control over your phone line, but you'll have to work with whatever provider you have, and Ms. Maynard might be able to help you with that, okay?
Okay, thank you. I love you,
Good luck.
baby.
I need to go. Bye.
You guys have a great day. Good luck, Mr. Turner.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to Daisy
I can
Jacobs.
move that.
Just have a seat out in the hallway. Yep, go ahead, have a seat.